back to this year's first podcast.
Yeah.
Grind Culture Podcast.
Been
back.
2 months.
Been 2 months. Busy 2 months. Some highs and some lows, definitely. But we kind of have we took a good hiatus. I don't know if I want to say good hiatus, but I think it was necessary in the things that were going on in our lives where we were able to take a break.
Yeah.
That's not to say that we didn't miss this, because I definitely missed this. Me too. And I didn't feel like it was I'm kind of just going to go straight into my feelings on just where my brain or my thought process was in the absence of Grind Culture Podcast. But it's not that I felt like I needed a break from Grind Culture Podcast, but this long break provided me two things. One, some clarity of where our podcast was and kind of where I wanted it to go. And two, I don't know if you've heard this expression, distance makes the heart grow fonder. So if the time that I had away from Grind Culture Podcast, it made me appreciate it a little bit more. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, what is your experience of like what you've been thinking about like while we were taking a break? I know you and I obviously work together. We see each other all the time. And another thing, just briefly, I miss this connection you and I have, because I had my daughter's birthday party between this break. We've had the holidays. We've done other things, and you and I still reminisce. But it's nothing like this.
No,
nothing like sitting down and just chit chatting and just catching up on not only our lives but like just each other, like mentally, I think.
Yeah, it's a good like getaway, out of the normal routine life. So it's kind of cool just to connect, on a deeper level.
Yeah.
And, it's like we don't really get to sit down for an hour and just talk at work. No. But right now it's like, I do miss that hour of just like connecting every week, just venting or getting like our creative side out and kind of just building ourselves up more. I think like during the podcast, I was a lot more like motivated to look into like coffee related things, rather that be brewing or farming or whatever it may be. I was, challenging myself to like really like dig deep. That way, when we hopped on here, it was like we had really good, knowledgeable things to say. So I miss that. But like you're saying, soon as Thanksgiving hit, bro, we're like, all right. I mean, Thanksgiving, it was my birthday. It was Christmas. It was New Year's. It was my daughter's birthday. It was then filled with people getting sick, and then work here was crazy because that's our busiest part of the season. And then we've had just so much new stuff happening here as well. So it's nice to be back and to be here with you and to have a fresh outlook on things, and to kind of reminisce on season 1 and how good it was and how much we grew and just all the good things that we got to talk about. So I'm excited to bring everything to the next level.
I am too. And I have been keeping tabs on just like viewership and subscribers, and have gained some. And viewership has been steadily just like increasing, like not to astronomical levels, obviously, but like people have been viewing us still.
Nice.
Like stumbling upon us. And I think that's the exciting part of having a YouTube or a podcast. Is the people that stumble upon us that don't really know us. They just they were like searching up coffee something so, and they found us and they gave us a listen and ended up deciding to subscribe to us.
Awesome.
So that's the exciting thing, and so I'm happy for that. I'm happy for you guys that are that discovered us in between this break and now are experiencing what it is our lives at the current moment, like kind of live in a way. So we'll try to drop episodes again every week. And new space. This is kind of where I work, where before we were kind of recording where Colton works in our coffee roasting industry. Colton, if people that are just catching up or don't have time to listen back, a little quick thing about Colton and myself is Colton's a manager, kind of like the the head guy of this coffee roasting facility that we have.
Yep.
And you just delegate, you have information, you pretty much like HR, you're pretty much maintenance, you're like everything that
janitor.
you're everything that a production facility needs,
Yeah.
all in one, I feel like.
I try to be.
Yeah.
Like we're saying, I think we mentioned a few times, even talking about your role, we both, I think, just kind of want to be the Swiss Army knife of the company and have obviously our main roles, but also be able to step in anything and be able to perform well in it. So, and that's why we're there. That's why we're here. That's why we've kind of been able to create, this place that we're in and do so well at it.
Not only that, you helped me with, which leads me to my spot, which is this spot. I like to joke and call it the receptionist, just because I'm like the first face that anybody sees that comes in here. But I'm getting into like the media side and the web development side, which I ask your help for, or you ask your opinions a lot, because I value them. I value your opinion. I value your knowledge, your experience, your creativity, your imagination. And your delegation to just make like a decision. If I'm ever thinking of like, I'm kind of not backtracking, but hesitant on my decision making, I always go to you and just like for assurance or for like different perspective.
Yeah.
So,
and that's good. 'Cause some people get stuck in their little bubble and they don't want to ask for extra help or leadership.
Yeah.
They kind of just, go with the flow and
and it's very, very valuable. And I know I'm deviating from like kind of like catching up with us, but I'm just trying to give perspective on like how busy our work lives have been here, and that's just our work lives.
Yeah, we've been busy.
So that's
just work life. Yeah,
that's the break.
True that.
New Year, like Christmas, New Year started, and again, it was like a little bumpy road for me at the end of 2024, and it was like a really bad time for me.
Yeah, we flopped. We totally flopped.
Yeah, and then like the beginning of this year, January was awesome. My attitude changed. I got back into my gym routine. My relationships have improved at home and with family, and so my year is starting off strong. Whereas I don't want to bring
you
up.
can say it. You can say it.
You're starting a little crap. You're just good to get through January. So
made me stronger, man. Yeah, I think everything that could have happened bad kind of happened. So I was busy here, but I really felt like I wasn't even here. It was like get my full-time job done half the time, and then go home, take care of the kids, or because Brittany was traveling a lot for work. I just had so much life happening outside of work, so it pulled me away from this place. But I still, was able to get everything done, and that's, I'm so grateful for like you and DJ, because you just carried the team through it.
Yeah,
and that's cool, because I think a year ago, even 2 years ago today, we wouldn't have been able to do that.
Right.
So grateful for that. But you did mention that we do have new people, and I did want to, before I forget, say what's up.
Yes.
Thank you for joining. Thank you for even watching. Awesome of you to join. We're gonna you've probably watched past episodes and everything that we talk about. That's what we do here. So welcome. We thank you. And for all the people that have been supporters since day one, you have been bugging me and asking me for when the next episode is going to drop. Is here.
Yeah.
We're stoked to be back. And we're grateful for you guys for staying along and supporting us through season 1, and hopefully you're stoked for season 2. So
yeah. Anyways, yes, all of that well said. And I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you for everybody that's subscribed or watching or joined us, and we hope to bring you good content, good information. We value your time watching us and giving us a chance. So we want to make sure we give you or reciprocate that kind of appreciation back just by being us and talking about coffee, talking about our lives, and just talking about the industry in general. There is a thing on your kind of like what we want to talk about, because with this, we've always kind of been prepared with our podcasts, which I did like, and I see like one of the things you want to talk about is what we look for, or what did we like about season 1, and I think our preparation even though we're a small production, it's you and I setting up, and
Yeah.
we kind of go over like, all right, what are we going to talk about? You mentioned it just now. It's like, it's the research that allowed me to really have interest in my coffee world, because I have interest in coffee generally just because I'm here, I'm working with it.
Yeah.
But this podcast takes it to another level. So
Right.
me looking back at season 1, especially the episode where we're talking about different ways coffee is
Like all the processing methods?
processed.
Yeah.
I really did a
That
lot
was
of
a big
research
one.
into
Yeah.
that.
Sorry.
And that's what I enjoyed out of season 1, and I hope we could bring that back somehow for season 2.
Oh, for sure.
Because after all, this is a coffee podcast. Yeah, we'll talk about our lives, how it intertwines with coffee world, and then some. But I did like the aspect of me just trying to have more knowledge into like the coffee world. That's what I really liked about season 1, is just looking at myself and or listening to myself rather, and seeing like the effort that I put into understanding coffee more.
Yeah. It helps so much. Like, it helps, just like I said, like, get out of the schedule of things, and there's so much happening in the coffee world right now, and not just like the farming and the agriculture and all the different, new age processing methods that are going on right now, but like, for you guys that didn't know, green coffee is at an all-time high in the history of coffee, which is pretty crazy that we're even there, so it's a pretty crazy time in the coffee industry. So we're gonna have a lot to talk about there.
Yes.
So we got a lot of, talk about education. We have a lot to not only teach people, but to teach ourselves. So.
Yeah, I mean, we have no choice. We work in the industry, so like we're kind of like, we forced our hand into learning about it, or kind of like even paying attention to it. But yeah, that's absolutely true. And another thing I appreciate for us like taking a break, because though you and I think we did pretty well in like having topics every week, there's things that you could, I mean, sometimes it just feels like, all right, what should we talk about today? Like it's not like we ran out of ideas. It's just we like brain farted on some of it, right?
Yeah.
And I think taking that break allowed us to see the coffee world transition to whatever it was doing. Seeing our world transition into what it was doing, even though it was like that short period of like 4 months, 3 months that we were absent.
Yeah.
It allowed time for like at least the slightest change for us to like, all right, we could go with it this way this year. And so on and so forth, to give us enough time to like just prepare, like, all right, we could go back to this, or we could talk about this, and like that's kind of stuff. What do you, like, don't you kind of agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of just have, I mean, like me, I go back and I'm like, okay, that was good avenue to go down. This probably wasn't so much, because like we kind of in the end there, we were pretty coffee heavy, and then we got into like health.
Yeah.
And then we got business, and then we went back to coffee, and then back to health. So we were kind of like bouncing all over the place, right? Trying to like just find like our rhythm, I think, and like what we kind of want to flow in and talk about. So it's a lot of like season 1. I mean, for anything, it's experimental. Even season 2 is going to be experimental. Season 3 is going to, be the same thing, but we're going to be on next level there. So just finding, our groove, and not only for ourselves, but for our listeners. And hopefully, put your input. Tell us what you want us talking about. Like, what are you interested in? We saw the views on like our popular episodes, and we saw comments and all these things, and what people are really interested in, and so kind of just like working it out. And this year's going to be another good year of growth, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I have a lot of goals, and as regards like what I expect out of season 2, like what are our goals and what do we aspire for. The guests that I want is, I think, the main thing that I kind of want to like really put our foot forward. Some of the guests that we've had in the past, like your brother and Cam, some new people that we work with, I think would be nice, some different perspective. Pick the brain out of tea. I think I just want to know more about tea, and so that's kind of just like a personal kind of thing, but I really want to like bring him out of his, not his shell, but kind of at the same time, I kind of want to bring him out of his shell and just like talk to him and just not berate him or anything, but I want to know more about tea because I work with him, and I don't see him often. And there's other people that we work with that maybe we want on whatnot. But then I also want to bring in like, I want to get big enough to where I want to bring in like Hacia, who is one of our coffee suppliers, or Sealy, or some other coffee shop owners locally. Montague Brothers, maybe, Sarai from Abode, and just like everybody, because they're, I think they made it public by now. They're opening a second coffee shop, and
that's right.
It's a huge deal. And we supported him for a long time, but I also just like want to make our rounds around this growing coffee, like local coffee shops.
That'll be a huge part of it. And just to be part of like locally what's happening is really cool. Especially when they're friends. And it'd just be cool to like do a deeper dive into not only, because we talk about coffee roasting and our business side of things, but I think last year we just touched a few times on like coffee shops with Cam. But it'd be cool to like dive deeper into that and like know like what actually it takes to run a coffee shop, and all the drama that happens there, and not only drama but like good things. So I'm excited. Guest speakers is gonna be a huge one this year.
So that's like that's a big thing for me, is guest speakers, returning ones, and new ones. Emphasis on the new ones. But then again, like just like I said, expanding my coffee knowledge, seeing what we can talk about next. Our business, so something I wanted to really like bring up is our business, and we could go more into it in another episode, but I'm in the middle of a rebranding. I got inspired by Brian to do Fair Trade as well after speaking to him about like rebranding ideas and like what I can do, because opportunity came about not too long ago in the beginning of the year of 2025, of me potentially supplying coffee for my friend's business from high school.
Nice.
And so that just like motivated me to look at my coffee shop, look what was working. Like there's other foundations that I research now that I want to be a part of.
Nice. And
just like what I want my coffee shop to look like aesthetically, and so on and so forth. So talking to Brian, he was like, yeah, do Fair Trade. If you really want to, like, what's your niche? He always says that. What's your niche? He always says that to all of our partners.
Yeah, you need it.
Who you want to represent yourself as a coffee business? What does your coffee mean to you? And like, how do you want to communicate that to your audience? So on and so forth. So right now I'm in the middle of like a rebrand. I'm redoing my labels, redoing my website, thinking about the coffee that I'm going to sell, and like my approach just to get my name out there.
Yeah.
So awesome. Like I'm in that transition. And what are you, because I know you've been doing a lot. You've been like, to me, it feels like you've been hustling and bustling just because I see your brand come up for like orders and stuff. So,
yeah.
I mean, what are you doing now? Like, let's catch up on Mountains to Waves.
It's funny because mentally I feel like I'm doing a lot, but like when I really look, I'm not doing a lot. You know, it's more like taking what I've had and just getting it out there a little more. Just like word of mouth. Some like random stuff has come to me, like just like you did, like some random, people just like, hey, strike up conversation about coffee, and they're like, oh, I kind of need a lot of coffee. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got you. Let me hook you up. So I don't know. It's just kind of like once you get the ball rolling in business, and you just like, even every day, if you do one thing and if you just pick at it, and for people that don't know, the brands that we're speaking of, Lost Woods Coffee Company for Ed, Mountains to Waves Coffee Company, those are our two brands. We're owners of those labels. And if you just do, I don't know, we don't have a lot of pressure, to really sell and make it our business like we've talked about. So it's like, I don't know, I've kind of just done the day-to-day stuff and, word of mouth, and I don't force it on people, and kind of stuff just happens, So it's like you have to be set, you have to be ready, you have to be knowledgeable, you have to have it ready to go. And I don't know, I kind of treat it just like a fun thing, and people kind of just get excited about it. Yeah. And everybody loves coffee, so it's like they want to support a friend or a family member. And so yeah, I'm trying to do more. I do want to do rebranding as well as you, like you're doing. Maybe not so much like the look of it, the aesthetic, but I want to do, like I do want to get Fair Trade certified on a lot of my coffees. I want to, I already got certified through Swiss Water. So I went through that whole Swiss water up in the corner. I don't think they can see it.
I don't think they can see it.
But I went through that whole process just to see. So I'm making new labels for that. And that's pretty cool. Like, I love supporting Swiss water, and I think that's the best decaf coffee there is. So just little things like that, like picking at it, taking a look at my website, seeing what I can do to make it a little better. My Instagram, social media stuff is slacking hard.
Yeah.
But, you know, it always, unless I have somebody working for me and doing that full time, I don't got time for it. So I'll try doing that. But it's really just the word of mouth stuff, you know, that's happening off social media. It's like, I think a lot of people would look at my company now on like Instagram like, man, is this guy even in business anymore?
I know.
You know, and that sucks, but it's like, no, it's steady. Like,
Yeah.
it's real steady. So it's hard because
It
I
is.
think a lot of people see like, oh, he hasn't posted something in months. He must be like dead.
It's weird. Like, the name of the game is like being proactive in social media
Mhm.
now. It's very important. And
It
like,
is,
I
yeah.
lose sight of that, and that to me sometimes is like the hardest thing about owning a business is
It is hard.
the catching up with today's almost mandatory ways of like communicating to your audience, and that's through social media.
Mhm.
And I've been terrible at that too. It's just like, I don't know why. I just feel like I don't have either time, or I just don't have the motivation, or just the organization to do it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
again, something that I'm going to try to do better at as well. The thing that you did mention is it's not do or die for us. However, I really want to approach it that way this year, because for a lot of the people that we work with, it almost kind of is do or die for them in a way. At least that sometimes that's how they make it. We always try to go into we always try to manage their expectations, and I think that's a very good thing that we do. But at the same time, like, I want them to be excited about starting their business, their coffee company, as excited as I was when I started it.
Yeah.
And so the way that I thought I could really put my feet in their shoes is put me in that position.
Yeah.
Is like kind of just make it do or die for me. Really put 100% effort in my business, just so I know the feeling, I know the hustle. I could communicate better to our partners if they're ever asking, because like I said, I'm now into business development and helping people design stuff, and they ask me questions like, well, what do we do with this? How do I approach that? How do I approach this?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's my due diligence to
Know those answers.
answers, right?
Yeah,
And just
good.
kind of experience what they're experiencing, because they don't have the advantages of working here, having you to ask questions 24/7. I could just walk to you, where they need to call me, or like they're gonna make schedule a visit or schedule an appointment with Brian.
Yeah.
You and I have the luxury of doing all that, but I kind of want to make it where, like, all right, I'm gonna really make the effort into making this a successful business, just so I have like the knowledge and the experience, so I could share that with the partners that are also in the same shoes that I am.
Yeah. And not only that, but, you know, it's like, if you do it and do it well, you can make a little extra money, you know, and it's like,
That's not bad.
I mean, try getting the, you know, have a end goal this year, like extra $500 a month coming in, you know, that's a great goal. That's a good chunk of change, you know, something like that. I don't know. It's just cool. Like it's kind of really, the sky is the limit. We have no overhead, right? We get great, like you're saying, we're here. We have all the tools necessary, more than enough tools necessary to be successful.
Yeah.
We're in coffee. A lot of people start a coffee business and they're not in coffee. They barely even drink it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, yeah, we got everything. It's almost too easy, so we don't push it. We don't push it too hard.
Yeah.
But, you know, if the doors closed here and all we had was our label, bring it.
What do we do then?
We would push everything we had and throw everything we had at the business. So
Right. But I also so even like going to that, like working hard for my business, there's also like the balance of making sure that I'm working hard for this business. And what I mean is the roasters. Somebody we work with calls it the roasters, and I think it's funny.
the roasters.
The roasters, working for the roasters. and I really want to make an effort into growing us too.
Oh yeah, well, it's priority.
You know, that is priority because after all, they help us pay our bills.
Right.
They support us. They support our families by just allowing us to work here. So
Yeah.
I really want to make the effort into providing everything that our partners need, everything that our business needs, like working 100% to my ability, to my capability.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it's a weird balance because it's almost like we're you and I and DJ and some of the people that we're working with, we're trying to run two businesses, especially the guys that own business, have our coffee business, like you, me, and Nate. It's almost like we're trying to run two businesses at the same time because we're trying to make this one successful.
Yeah.
Brian gave us a lot of opportunities to really, though he delegates, he really gave us opportunity to make this our own.
Right.
Like the web development thing, he kind of just handed it to you and I to develop and to have live on our services, which I'm in the middle of two of them, which it just came out kind of quickly for me. And you said you want that to continue. You want that to be a continuous pattern, to have that kind of revenue come in.
Yeah.
And then he gave you just like the freedom to really to delegate like the day to day and like to manage and look over like inventory and look over production and, like we said, look over like the cost of green coffee and experimenting with like the coffee that we have, because we're getting into like this whole world of wholesale and people are like, oh, I like your coffee, but I want to try it this way. And we're actually giving them, I'm not advertising this or anything, but we're giving them some liberty to develop their own blends in a way, you know? And like, I think that's like overseen in the aspect of like what we're doing here is we're really making people's not dreams come true, but their ideas come to life in a way, which is
because I mean, if their market's big enough and they got a good plan, it's like, why not partner with them and, you know, have a little bit of wiggle room. So yeah, it's like you're saying, you're busy with your new role, I'm busy with my new role, you know, getting organic certified and writing new procedures and designing new stuff, and also managing all my old responsibilities, and you're doing your new stuff and managing all your old responsibilities and filling in for people when you need to and doing everything. It's like, yeah, we want to be great at that. We want to also build that to a standard and grow on top of that. And then we have our businesses here. So it's like, we want to keep this flowing, and then we also want to trickle into this. So it's like, it's a big balance.
But, yeah, balancing out for sure. And I think that's overseen in just like our mentality going into work every day. Because you do have a business. If you want to be successful in your own coffee business, you have a business to run, but you also want this place to be successful. So like, it's a mental hurdle, I think, for UI and Nate and sometimes DJ, because he has his business outside of work too. So yeah, I mean, I encourage anybody. This is another big thing I wanted to kind of advertise, is to anybody listening and anybody curious about starting a coffee business or starting a business in general. One, don't be scared to do it. There's a lot of tools out there to do it. And there's so many things that make your creativity possible. Like it really allows it to come to life. And all you got to do is search for it and utilize it. If it's coffee business that you want to start off, I really recommend going through us, because we are putting things into place where we're not just providing you tools for coffee. We're providing you tools for a creative outlook and a creative way to define yourself as a coffee business owner, and then trying to make that come to life. That's really like the thing that keeps being stuck in my head as like our new roles and our new responsibilities are in the year 2025. So it's kind of like like an ad just to say, hey, if you want to start a coffee business, you could go through us and we'll really try to make you guys successful. But also for any business, you got to put it into work, because there's a lot of work to it. And that's also something I have seen just in like the short amount of time that I've been getting this new role, is people really need to put in the effort and the time and the work and sometimes the money to start a successful business, not a get rich quick scheme. It's
Yeah.
It's work.
Yeah, it's work. It's like if someone builds you a car and you want to, put some miles on it.
Yeah.
You're the one that has to go for a drive, So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
put in the work, do it. And then, like you're saying, like we have created a system, not only like because it used to be like, okay, you want to start a coffee brand. Okay, this is what you need to do. Here's all the steps. You have to do all these things by yourself. You'll get a little bit of guidance, a little bit of like counseling to, help you with sales and things like that. And just like, here's the rules and regulations. But now it's like that on steroids. Like, hey, you got all the foundational stuff and, now we can actually do all the design work.
Mm-hmm.
Here's your website. Here's your labels. Here's how to market. Here's how to brand yourself. Here's, okay, you want to sell it here? Like, this is how you got to do it. You need photos, you need video. Okay, we got that too. Like, we can pretty much sell you anything that you need for a successful coffee business. Between you, Brian, and everything in between, it's like, we got it. And I think that's what we're trying to do, is have a full circle program to where it's like, okay, if you have a dream, then we're going to help you succeed. And not only that, but the product's great. We have freaking awesome coffee. And I think that's something that me and you have always loved, is we're not selling a crappy product, because I think at the end of the day we kind of feel like crap about ourselves, or we would wish we were somewhere else doing it. But it's like, no, the coffee's always kept up with our standards, even though it's expensive to buy. It's like we match all of it. So that's really cool. I mean, even the coffee we just drank, it was probably roasted, like it was like old coffee bag we had laying around. It was blonde roast, Ethiopia mixed with Guatemala. It was good. Like,
it was good.
That's old coffee right there. Yeah, and it's like it's just good. So I'm just glad to be here. Glad, really excited everything that's going on.
Yeah, me too.
I'm excited what we can kind of bring to the table with helping others out.
Yeah. So I agree with everything that you're saying, and give yourself credit too. You mentioned my name, you mentioned Brian's name, but you really are the foundation of this business, and you've helped me so much. And we do a lot of butt kissing on this podcast. I know I appreciate Colton as a friend. I appreciate him as a coworker, and I just appreciate him as a self-titled hermano of mine. So, I mean, I'm so excited for not only where this business is going to take us this year, where our own businesses is going to take us this year, but also where Grind Culture Podcast is going to take us this year, because I have so many ideas of where I want Grind Culture to go. Something that I'll probably share as time goes, because I don't want to put all my eggs in a basket and not have them come true. But I do have like so many ideas that I want to share with you, and what I want to do with it, different like creative ideas. And
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, just you and I put in the effort into like just executing those. I'm so excited for it, and I'm glad we're back, because you did mention it was like, it feels like our first time, but we go into it so naturally. I think it's just like effortless at this point, and I think that's what makes our conversation, our back and forth, go so well. Because I've had conversations with other people, and I've had projects I've done with other people, and they just don't churn out the way that your conversations go, like mine and yours. So I don't know. I just can't emphasize enough how much I appreciate this podcast and where I want to take it, and just the excitement I have for it.
Yeah.
And that we're starting it again finally.
Heck yeah. So keep up, people.
Yeah, keep up.
Subscribe. Do whatever you got to do to stay in touch with us.
Yeah.
If you have ideas, if you're really excited about stuff we might bring to the table, put it down so we know. It's good to know, like, because we're just gonna bring stuff every week or every other week, whatever it may look like. But it's nice to have people involved with our conversation, and to bring us questions, to challenge us even on things that we may not even know about. Challenge us to, look up the information and educate ourselves. So yeah, I just challenge you guys to keep up, because it's gonna be exciting. And I think just in the coffee industry and world right now, it's there's gonna be new things happening that we've never seen. If you're in the coffee industry, it's gonna get pretty wild. In just with prices alone, I mean, it's gonna get wild. So let's go. Hop on board with us.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm excited.
Me.
So thank you again for all the new people. Thank you again for the new subscribers, the new listeners, people that have come back and kept up with us. A lot of the people that Colton has talked to or known, asking about the podcast, and people that I've known talking about or asking about the podcast. Thank you for being patient with us. And until next week.
See you guys.
Peace.
Peace.